So, welcome. Howdy. I want to take a little tour of the real estate available in New Haven, Indiana. A little background about me while we get started. I bought and sold a couple houses. I've been a property manager for a rental house that was built in 1923 for 7 years. The house was occupied by college students, so you can imagine that property got a little beat up. And yeah, so I have a couple pet peeves, let's say, when it comes to looking at real estate, which is something I'm actually looking to do to buy a home in the coming year. And I figured I'd share some tips and maybe just vent a little bit. Maybe you can learn something. Maybe you just get a laugh. I don't know. Anyway, so here we are. We're looking for a home, preferably well under a $400,000 price. 3 beds, 1 bath. Of course, more baths than one would always be nice. And, nothing special. Me personally, I like to work on cars, so a 3-car garage would be nice, but you never know. So let's start looking. Here we are at 3988 Pebble Way, and looks all right. Price is certainly very nice. Let's see what it has to offer us. Looks good. So one red flag that would always catch my eye is, did we start staining the fence and just give up? Did we start on a hot day and decide it was just too hot and go inside and never came back? Or we just lazy? I don't know. Curious. And then, when I'm looking at a property and I see a window open there and some more windows open here, you just gotta ask yourself, why are the windows open? When the real estate agent brought the photographer by to get the photo pictures, was a stench just too bad that they couldn't get in the house without the windows open? Maybe it smells like cat pee. I don't know. All right, so let's head on in. Looks all right. The stair treads are maybe a little beat up. The floor could use some refinishing, but that happens when a typical family lives in a home. Okay, we got a wire, and it's the wire to nowhere. Is it a special curtain control? I don't know. Is it a special window motor? Doesn't seem to be. But whenever I see a cable just drilled into a wall, and it's an exterior wall, like this one, I always wonder how well that was sealed, especially if it leads to outside. There's some very lazy cable installers in the world. There's some really good ones, but there's some very lazy ones. Now, another little pet peeve. What I'm seeing here is the doorbell. Now, a couple things. The doorbell here is located about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet from the door. So I don't know that it's really adding any benefit. If somebody's knocking at the door and talking loudly, they're probably more audible in the back of the house than if they actually ring the doorbell. Doorbell should typically be, in the middle of the home, so everybody has a chance to hear it. And second, please don't paint things that are attached to the wall the same color as the wall. It might look nice, but when you want to change the paint color, when you want to get a new doorbell, maybe one that plays your favorite TikTok music song, yeah, you're going to have a lot of fun taking that off. Let's keep moving. It's maybe a dining room. It looks all right generally, although, yeah, okay. Thought that was some sort of notice posted on the window. Thankfully not. Here we maybe see the dining looking into the kitchen. Maybe it's a family room looking into the kitchen. Not sure. Kitchen seems to have all of the important items. I do see maybe... No, window's not open. Maybe the stench is only on the upper level. And then here's a beautiful sunroom. I see again our friend the cable installer has poked a hole in a wall. How well he sealed it, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know. There's some strange markings on the ceilings at random intervals. You might want to get up on a ladder and just poke the ceiling drywall there, make sure it's not soft. Could be water spots, mold. And it seems to also be that the paint is not so consistent here. I lost the picture. Let's go back here. Yeah, seems maybe they're lazy painters. We already saw that with the fence, so we shouldn't be too surprised. One little hint. If I'm looking at this property and I've seen floor vents and returns for central air, and here I see a wall-mounted room-based zone air, just tells me, okay, either they were smart, I would say in some ways, when they added on this sunroom, because that is a good hint that it's an add-on. It wasn't in the original house. Or they're lazy. Could be either. Maybe they just wanted to save a buck or two. That's fine also. But knowing it's an add-on, I would always be curious to go down to the city office and see if permits were pulled and closed properly. Always something to consider. Bathroom looks alright. Washer and dryer are gone. Sometimes can be a little bit of a problem. Appears to be the primary bedroom. Doesn't look too bad overall. Looks like you got a primary bath. You know, some people might say it's not very updated, it's not very large. I would say the advantage is it looks like you got your closet right in here, and you know, sometimes all you need is the 3 S's. You got a shower, you got a sink, and you got a shitter, so you can get yourself along. Moving on to this bedroom, I see what looks like maybe a ceiling fan that's a little bit droopy. Let's see if maybe we can get another picture. Yes, this ceiling fan is definitely a little bit droopy. So those fan blades are pointing a little more towards the floor than they are the walls. And what that can tell me is a couple things. Either one, it's a very cheap ceiling fan, and it's basically, the blades are made of, let's call it strong cardboard rather than wood. Or maybe a little bit more pessimistic view, maybe there's a lot of humidity in the home, and so even not so cheap fan blades are starting to warp and more or less bend with gravity towards the ground. Always a good little hint when you see a ceiling fan with blades doing a little bit of a droopy thing. Otherwise, the bedrooms don't look too bad. Another bath that's got the 3 S's. Man can survive. This fan actually shows, sorry, we lost the picture. This fan actually shows exactly what you would want a ceiling fan to look like, where the blades are clearly pointing directly at the wall and not drooping down to the floor. Also interesting that this is the room with the window completely open, and I see some paint overrun here on the trim, like it was hastily repainted. Could tell me that somebody was in this room smoking, doing something else, creating high humidity, maybe with growing marijuana plants, who knows? It's legal in most states now, I guess. Something to keep in mind. The carpet also looks a little newer. I would say this room has been recently redone. Anyway, moving out back. Looks alright. Looks actually quite nice. Little crack in the patio there, but yeah, Indiana freeze-thaw cycle. Probably nothing too concerning. I do notice that the yard got trimmed, but not bagged, and it was long enough that it probably ought to have been bagged. The grass clippings tells you either it doesn't get trimmed very often, could be that property is vacant and only gets trimmed once a month. Either way, tells me somebody's either not paying or not spending the time to do it right. Always a little bit of a heads up. And the AC unit is present. Doesn't look to be too old. It is tilting a little bit. Kind of seems to be a low spot right alongside the house there. That would always be something to keep in mind and take a close look at to make sure that there's not a lot of water draining in that area. I'm also noticing that the upper gutter is running the entire length of the house but has no downspout on this edge. Just might want to have a roofing or a gutter contractor give you a estimate or an inspection to see if that really makes a lot of sense. And there you have it. That was a home at 3988 Pebble Way in New Haven, Indiana for $270,000. I honestly think it's Not too bad. It seems to have good bones. However, I would say some of those little hints might be something to pay attention to, and you might want to look a little deeper at what's been going on in the house. Make sure there's not anything really scary hiding behind the walls. Anyway, hope you learned something. Thanks for listening. Maybe you had a laugh or two as well. And maybe next time I'll be even more pessimistic. Who knows? Anyway, have a good one.